Yo, 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 what's going on? It's the NOC, the Nerds of Color. And we are back with another ShoPowSho. It's your boy, Kuya P, aka Patrick Michael Strange, the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Holla Holla homies in the center gang of the NOC. Tonight, we have another hot one for you all. But unfortunately, the amazing Ates, Kataphorric, and Viva Valentina couldn't be with me tonight. They're making moves. They're doing what they got to do. You know, Tina holding down the stuffy spa. And my girl, Kat, she's getting ready to go off to Japan to do the teaching thing. But she still will be with the ShoPowSho. She's just got to get herself together as she makes her way to do some teaching over there in Japan, which we're so proud of her. She's following her dreams. But she will still be down with the ShoPowSho family. So, y'all, tonight is a hot one. I'm super excited. This young star is on the rise. She's amazing. Her name is Zenia Marshall. She's starring in Peacock TV's One of Us is Lying. We're going to get all into that convo. But before we do that, I want y'all to check out the trailer right now for One of Us is Lying on Peacock TV. Here we go.
You seriously posting from campus?
I'm not worried.
It's like you want to get shut down.
Hey, Bayview. School is back in session. And you know what that means? So am I. This week, I'll be taking down 4 of Bayview's biggest offenders. Let's just say, I've got enough dirt to bury them.
Your obsession with other people's lives is pathetic.
Nobody at the school would get called out for anything if it weren't for me.
Simon?
Jesus, he's allergic.
I don't think he's breathing.
You want to help?
Detective Wheeler has a couple questions.
Wasn't it an accident?
They think one of us did it.
Without Simon, you get to be valedictorian.
You're accusing me now.
I know them.
I don't know you. We need to work together now.
And why should we trust you?
So you guys have no secrets.
I've got too much on the line.
Tell them the truth. It's not gonna change anything. Everybody here hated him. But who also hated us?
What is a secret worth literally killing for?
Boom, there you go. The trailer for Peacock TV's One of Us is Lying. I'm not lying to y'all. She's here. She's on the screen. She's on the ShoPowSho. There she is, y'all. Zenia Marshall. I'm shooting off air horns right now, Zenia. You can't hear it because I don't want to deafen you, but we are celebrating. We are giving you your flowers. We're super excited to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kuya P, for having me on. I can see the confetti. I can hear everything.
Yes.
I can hear it all.
There we go. I love it.
Excited.
Yes. Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing a little bit of your time on Zoom with me tonight to just celebrate you, y'all. That's what we do here. We give flowers to our amazing kababayan that are killing it, that are inspiring us all everywhere around the globe, because, you know, we are all over the globe, y'all. Let me tell you. And, you know, and when we find out that you just got a little bit, we are going to rock it and support and just do everything. That's what we do.
Honestly, one of the most supportive communities out there. I really think.
Hell yeah. I love it. So, man, you have this amazing new show. I'm going to kind of break the mold of kind of how we normally do our flow of ShoPowSho, because I just want to show some love and light to this amazing new gig you have, girl. You're on Peacock. You're on Peacock TV. One of Us is Lying. Yo, for those that just saw the trailer, maybe give a little bit about your character. Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Oh, for sure. So my character, her name is Keely Moore, and she is the girlfriend and best friend of one of the lead characters. His name is Cooper. Cooper is a professional high school baseball player, and he really takes his sport seriously, and he really needs the support. She's always protecting him, and she also has a little few hobbies of her own, from student body president to all of the organizing of lots of school spirit stuff and cheer and all that good fun jazz. So yeah, that's a little bit about Keely. Yeah.
But there's a little bit more, but I'm not going to tell that yet because I want to actually get into a little bit. So hashtag spoilers, but I'll tell you really when hashtag spoilers is, so you can pause for a second.
Yes, that would be great. Because honestly, like all the time, whenever people ask me that, I'm like literally just trying to tell you about my character. We'll give away like half, like if not 75% of the spoilers of my story arc. So I'm like, oh my God. So I think
we can talk a little bit because there's, I think, there's quite a few episodes out by the time this will drop. So I will warn you before we get into that convo side of it where spoilers are, y'all. But before we get there, I just want to talk a little bit of how this role came to you. You know, as actors, we're auditioning all the time. And it's like, you got to get used to know, you know, it's like audition and forget it. Tell me how this role came to you and reading for it, and then what you wanted to bring to the character once you got cast.
For sure. I believe I auditioned for this about 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago by this point. And once I went in person to the casting over here in Vancouver. And when I went in, I actually read with one of the other cast members that was working at the office at the time. Their name is JR. They're amazing. And they read for me. And I neither did any of us know that we were going to get casted in the show together. So that was so much fun. But yeah, like the casting process, like I did my first audition, and you know how the waiting game kind of is with things, like you just like don't know for like a lot of the time. And you're just kind of like, as soon as you're done, you just kind of like forget it. Like otherwise you're going to make yourself go insane. And most of the time it is a no. So it's just best for your actor brain just to let it go. So I completely forgot about it. And it was about, I want to say like 2.5 months after like that first audition that I got a call back in. And I was like so confused when I got the call back in, because I'm like, what audition was this? Like, who is Keely? Like, I'm so good. What is one of us? I was like so confused. I'm like, what was the show again? So I had to like dive back into it. And then I had to, I went in for callback. And I met the beautiful, amazing, talented Jennifer Morrison from Euphoria. She directed Euphoria. She was on the star of Once Upon a Time. It was so amazing. She was our pilot director. I met her there. I met some of our amazing, fabulous producers. And that's kind of the start of that. And I guess I just kind of got a call a couple weeks later about, like, from my agent. She likes to do this thing where she's like, thinks she's like being all sly. She'll call me and she'll try to be like, hey, how's your day? But every time she does that, I know what's up. Like, because her tone, everything changes. I'm like, you're not speaking your regular voice. You're doing that coy thing where you kind of like are about to distribute some news going on. So yeah, that was her on the phone. She's like, oh, you got one of us is lying. You're Keely. I'm like, no way.
Yes, so I love that.
That was a bit about the auditioning process, and definitely with what I wanted to do with Keely, for sure. There's so much going on in the series. There's so much, like, obviously from the title, a lot of lying, a lot of things against usual ethics and moral codes, and there's a lot of things. And I think that's one of the best parts about the show, is that all the characters are so multidimensional. Like, there's so many different aspects. Like, there's no character who's completely good or completely bad. And but I definitely felt that there was a really sweetheart kind of like thing going on with Keely, and she was really nice. And like, one of her main things was just looking out for the people around her. And I really wanted to make sure that I brought that over to the role. That was there despite all of the other things that are going on in the show. Kind of like prevails a bit, and like once in a while whenever she's there. And also, one of the most important things to me was the fact that I read in the book that the character originally, in the original book, One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus, was that like Keely was half Filipino, half white. And I
Really? I didn't know that. I knew it was based on a book, but actually in the book as well. Oh, sweet. In
the book, yeah. So in my snaps going around. But like, yeah, when I first I read, I skimmed like for my audition. It was like the next day, so I was like trying to get through it and just trying to find anything about Keely in this book. And when I read the description, it was like half Filipino, half white. And I'm like, wow, I hardly ever see that specified in things like, and I find especially like you're in the industry, you know, like you probably relate a lot to like just seeing a broad Asian description, and it's never, or open ethnicity, and it's never quite specified. And I feel like especially when it comes to like searching for someone who's Filipino, like a lot of the time I will see a lot more other countries listed, but then way before Philippines is listed in a breakdown that they're looking for. So in that time, I was like really shocked and surprised. And I had the first epiphany in that moment too, in my career, where I had for the first time just realized that I had never auditioned for a Filipino character before. I had never seen a Filipino character before. And it was just like this weird realization, because I've already gone so many years. Like by this year alone, it would have been like about 7 years of auditioning for me. So at that point, I was about 5 years, and I was just like, wow, the past 5 years, like I have not seen that. And that was just so interesting to me, because I wasn't very conscious of that before until I saw it for the first time. And I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Like I wasn't quite aware of what I was missing, and what, I don't know, like a bit about like what the community is missing too. So yeah, like that really warmed my heart. And I'm like, I really hope that like I can be able to play this part, and the honor of doing that would be amazing. So yeah.
That's so dope. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. So happy for you, Zenia.
Thank
so
you.
Happy. That's awesome. That's super cool. And yeah, I didn't know that about the book. When I was doing my research, and I've seen the first 3 episodes. So I'm very curious about your character. And so actually, you know what, now, because I want to dig a little bit, because I have seen 3 episodes. Please dig. So hashtag spoilers, y'all. Pause this right now. Come back to it. Check it out. We're going to have some fun a little bit. But girl, your character, woo! I'm just like, okay, so, you know, I love how the setup was, and you were the tour guide for him for the school, and then y'all became a couple, and then, but he's, you know, he's having to hide himself because, and I love that archetype, because that's what's kind of put on for a lot of, you know, men who don't, you know, aren't ready and open yet. And so I love that they're portraying that, and we're seeing that. But then just how, okay, you find out for your character that he is, you know, bi, or not bi, but, you know, just, you know, he's gay, and that, but you're still supported because you had a bad relationship prior. And you know, again, hashtag spoilers, y'all, because I'm getting into it. You had a bad relationship prior, but he's now your gateway for your character to live your life. And again, I'm on episode 3. I hope we get to dig more, because again, your character is Filipino white, and I know how I'm a mixed kid myself, and I've seen that with my other Filipina, you know, friends, and, you know, and especially the women, because y'all know how Filipinos' mom put it on y'all Filipino, you know, us boys get to do whatever we want to do. So I'm just so curious if that's explored at all. I don't know, but just I love your character, Zenia. Like, can you tell me, can we talk a little bit about all that? And what did you think when you read that and you saw all that? Like, yeah, I'm don't know how much you get into it or get to have with it, but I'm hoping, but then if it's not, you know, I don't know, but I love that you get to be that, and you be there, and you get to represent for us, girl.
For
Awesome.
sure, for sure. Okay, so right now, because now that I know where you are at, I don't want to spoil anything after the episode 3 for you. So now it's a bit of a landmine for me. Like there's some spoilers, and then like I can say some that I can't.
I don't mind it though, because I'm gonna go all in. I'm all in. So I'm not that bad with spoilers for myself.
Okay. Well, for starters, first things first, like in the book, actually, it was so different, because in the book, they had Cooper cheating on Keely, and Keely had no idea that he was gay, and she really just thought that they were in a relationship together because that's how things were panning out, and he was really just using her for a cover, and she had no idea, and that was kind of what was happening in the book. So the fact that they did this in the series, in the screen adaptation, I was really happy that they changed that, because it felt like a really good kind of a really amazing friendship between the two characters.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah.
there's so much trust, and they're able to both protect each other because they both have secrets that only each other know about. And as you said, like Keely has this backstory with her ex that's borderline emotionally abusive, and there's a lot of stuff that had happened there. We don't get like way too into that, but like we just know that had happened, and that's one of the reasons why she wants to be with Cooper, is for that protection. And he has just, the other crazy guy has completely left her alone since. So with him, she really feels really safe, and with her, he really feels safe, and together they just have this like amazing friendship. She's the first person that he ever came out to, and together they go through and navigate this Bayview high school life together, where they've got each other's back. So that whole entire storyline right there itself, I was really touched by that, and glad that they changed that.
Hell yeah. Okay. So I don't. I think it's like, is it 8 episodes or 12 episodes? Is this first season? 8. So all I know is, Zenia, I don't know how it wraps up yet, because again, I'm only 3 episodes in. But so okay, you're his friend, but you need to be done right now. Like, you need to have your story now, because again, that he kind of broke your heart in a way, but you were still supportive, but like, I feel for you. Like, I need you to have love now. Like, I love the friendship angle, and we're going to stay with that. We're going to stay with that. But like, okay, come on. Zenia needs love now. Like, that's all I'm saying. Season 2.
Keely needs love. I mean, there's definitely, I will tell you without spoiling too much, she's definitely in love in the series somewhere. This season, she is definitely in love. You will find out who she's in love with, though, very soon. You're pretty close. You're on episode 3. You're pretty close there.
All right. Because
you have too far to go.
So bad. Because I don't know, I'm an empath, if you can't tell, with like our people and everything. And so like, I'm watching your character and I'm like, okay, damn, but I understand. And all right, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you're like rocking with it. I feel that, but come on.
Lots of emotions, like, and it's just like, I really felt for Keely too in the beginning of that, like that whole entire scene where she's first like hearing him, because I really think that she really did like him, and that was just kind of like, just to hear that, oh my gosh, you will never like me that way, that sucks. Oops, here I've been like trying to like make moves on you this whole time, and I had no idea. Now I feel bad, and oh my gosh, like there's so many things in that conversation. And but then like the way that they wrote that so that it can like turn around and then it evolves into this really nice friendship was like really beautiful. So
it is so beautiful. And so with that being said, again, I'm all in. I love it. I love relationships. I got to dig in more. I got to holler at you once I watch it all, so I could be like, girl,
let me know. Let's have another conversation later whenever you watch everything, so I know I'm not spoiling anything. Okay. I don't want to spoil. I've already done that for like my closest, like my mom and my sister. I'm just like, I like let it slip one day because I'm like, oh my god, this is like, oh my god, like this is so exciting. I can't believe this was the person all along. And then they're like, no, like trying to tell me to stop. And I'm just like so excited because I can't tell anyone else. So I'm just like so excited. I have no one else to like talk to about it. And I'm like, oh crap, like, oh yeah, like what I'm doing right now does have spoilers, and I'm too used to doing those shows that don't have any spoilers. Like, that's going to be like a happy ending at the end. So I was just like, oh.
I love it. All right. I'm going to hit you up. Yeah, I want to talk to you once I've seen it all. But you're doing such an amazing job. I love your performance, and this cast is amazing. So let's just talk about, you're in the role now. You're you've got it. You've been cast. Talk about how this filming was on set, meeting your fellow actors, building that actor family, which is the best thing. I love my actor families. Tell me a little bit about working on set and some of these other fellow actors you had a chance to collaborate with.
For sure, for sure. Well, for starters, the whole entire journey took place. The very beginning was 2 years ago when we filmed the pilot in Vancouver, and everyone was amazing there. We all jived really well together. Everyone was so much fun, so talented. This is an amazing cast. But we only had a couple weeks together, and the people that were in town that had to fly over. I live in Vancouver. I'm Canadian, so they flew over to our hometown. There's 3 of us Canadians in like the show that you'll continue to see throughout the show, and so they came to us, but then they had to go away really soon, so we didn't really get to fully know each other at that extent. And then 2 years passed, and we have this group chat, and we're just like still going off like every other week, like someone will say something random, and then just everyone's laughing again. But then we actually got the green light for the series, and because of COVID, it took a lot longer than expected. So when that finally happened, that green light, we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And yeah, then they flew us over to New Zealand. And that was definitely such a specific experience for especially the people who have never been that far away from home for that long of a time. Like for me personally, I've never been that far from home for that long. I was gone for 5 months, and I didn't like have my family there. I didn't have my friends. Like I was like quite homesick throughout the journey, but what made it really amazing was that the cast members there, like everyone was going through that exact same thing all together. No matter how excited we were to be there, we all still missed home and our families and friends to an extent. So in a way, we made our own family there all together. And it got really funny because like we just bonded so much that all of a sudden it became like a lot, because like there's some of us who were staying at like the same hotel, and like we're like literally neighbors. Like my cast members were literally right next door to me. Like if I'm too loud, they'll hear everything that I'm doing. Like if we need do you have a bell pepper? Like okay, like going over, hey, do you have any sugar? Like just going over and getting everything. My iron's not working, like whatever it is. And then it becomes like such like a bond. And then like every other night, like whoever's like not working that day will have like dinners, we'll have like the brunches at certain places that we always went to, the little family movie nights at someone's place. And it became such like a nice like supportive environment with that. Like everyone was like super nice and really there for each other throughout that experience, because even though that it's like an amazing opportunity that like all of us are so grateful for. Of course, everything has its ups and downs, and when you really miss home, that's definitely like a piece of the equation when you're gone for that long. So yeah, everyone was like super nice, and also our amazing producers and showrunner and like everyone like was just so nice. The crew there, like shout out to the crew there. Like, oh my gosh, like New Zealand crew, Kiwi crew, like for starters, people in New Zealand are so nice. And then in the film industry, I don't know what it is over there, but it's just like somehow even more close knit and together feeling as a team with the crew over there. It's something about like the way that everyone jives together and how nice and friendly they are, and how we were able to be a team all together, because there's some sets where the cast and crew don't really get to interact as much. There's some sets that they try to keep that more separate, especially in, I find, like the American movie industry. But over there, like we were really able to bond with everyone, and we really made a lot of friendships over there. And that's what made it like leaving really sad, honestly. Like that was a pretty sad. It was very bittersweet, because it's like, oh, I finally get to go home now, but like I'm really gonna miss these people. And I think that what made it like the worst part about leaving was that we were only 3 days away from being wrapped from the whole entire production after 5 months of shooting there. And then COVID came to
Oh,
New
wow.
Zealand, and they had one COVID case. I was there for my last day. I was in my trailer. It was my very last day. I already had my wardrobe, my hair and makeup done. I was just waiting to be called to set, and I got a knock on my door, and they're like, "Hey, so yeah, New Zealand's going to lockdown right now." And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
"No." And they're like, yeah, it looks like it's just going to be about a week, but we all have to, like, every like crew and cast member needs to be back home in like their building, in their house at 12 at midnight. So, and it was like already like what, like 6 o'clock, and we were at a completely different location that we had to completely take down because it was someone else's house.
Oh my God.
And we had to get out of there like as soon as possible. And that was like my last time actually seeing anyone. And we all thought that we were gonna reunite like the week after.
Yeah.
Once everything opened up again. So we all stayed for another week. And then it's like, oh no, New Zealand's going for another week. So then we stayed for the second week in isolation. And then eventually production's like, we can't film here anymore. We need to film in Toronto next, like, because it's not going to work out over here.
Yeah.
So that was our last time seeing our crew family, which was really sad. We didn't get to have like a wrap party or say goodbye or anything.
Yeah.
So we just got like flown out after 2 weeks of isolation. And after about a week or two back home, then we went over to Toronto and finished filming.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an adventure. It's the times we're in. It's wild. Thank you for sharing that, giving us that insight for those of us that are the filmmaking community, actors and fans that don't know how it's all been transitioning in this new age. Post-apocalypse, as I like to say, like we're here now.
Apocalypse.
Wow. So you wrapped in Toronto around last year is when you finished?
Oh no, actually we wrapped in Toronto about like I want to say about a month ago. Like,
oh, wow. So it's very recent you all finished.
Yeah, like we were only about a week and a half. Like I personally was a week and a half. I think others were like a week. Like they wrapped a week before the first batch of episodes had dropped.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was actually supposed to be, I think originally like more of the episodes, but like, of course, because we were just in that very last episode and that's all we had to do was a couple more days was, yeah, it all got kind of like pushed back a bit, but yeah. Yeah.
Man.
Everyone worked so hard to get together. Yeah.
So no wrap party there in New Zealand. And I'm assuming because you were in now Toronto, and because of the COVID times, did you even get to have anything together with everybody?
No, not really. Like, we tried to see each other off set when we could, but because we're all there for just a week, it was like really hard, especially for the leads. They're like every single day, and they have so much going on in their schedule. They're working so hard. It's hard to find like time for everyone to get together and sit down for that. But yeah, like it wasn't really a prime time for that, but because especially in New Zealand, the vaccines were delayed. I was lucky that I got my vaccine all over like in New Zealand, but a lot of our cast wasn't able to because they were on set every single day and they couldn't stop working. And the vaccinations itself rolled out super late in New Zealand compared to over here in North America. Mm-hmm. So just being there, that was the time in Toronto where the vaccine passports just started to gear up. So that made it even more impossible to be able to meet up to. It's just like a really like big windstorm, but it's totally understandable. And none of us like complain at all, but it's just, you know, like when you look at that and you're like, oh, like this season has been basically 2 years in the making. And we weren't able to quite say goodbye yet, but like, that's the thing. We're all like, well, it's not goodbye. We don't want this to be goodbye. So
season 2, y'all.
Here's to another season.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Make
get
it
y'all
happen.
Together. Man, I'm so sad for you guys. But that's just the life we're in now. Did you at least, so all wrapped up, they're rolling out the, episodes now. Did you get to see it in advance? So
I got to see an earlier cut of it, but I didn't get to see it like super smoothed out. Like I think that it's like I just love seeing rough cuts of things because it just makes me like realize like how much work goes into it far after we're done acting.
Oh yeah.
There's just so much like stuff, and like even as a cast, we watched it all together when it was like a super rough cut, and we're like laughing about some of like the CGI stand-ins or the ADR kind of things, because when you watch like the play, like when you watch it like on a really rough cut, like they still need to get actors to do this thing called ADR. For anyone that's listening doesn't know what ADR is, like you got to dub yourself for your voice for the audio, and sometimes they don't have the line yet.
TikTok is what ADR is now. If you do TikTok, that's ADR, y'all.
You're pro at ADR if you can do that. So like if we don't have like the line in, then there's this robot voice that just like makes up a line certain places and just kind of sticks there, and it's really funny. It's like, Keely, what? Like it's just like the robot voice is just like da, da, da. It's so much fun, and you just get to see like everything come together, and seeing that from how the episodes look like right now, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's just such an amazing work from everyone like who was a part of the team, like everyone. So yeah, we're super proud.
Man. Well, I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to finish it up. I will have that conversation with you once I'm all done. But let's everybody go see it on Peacock right now. One of Us is Lying, the amazing Zenia Marshall, killing it in that. And we're gonna hopefully I want everybody to like hashtag more. We got to come up with a good hashtag for One of Us is Lying, like season 2, something creative to, there's still lying to go. We still got more lies to go. I don't know, something. We want more. I love it. So Zenia, thank you for sharing your new amazing project, One of Us is Lying. And but now I want to dig a little bit into you. I want to know about your journey in this biz. I like to start it all the way back to the beginning. Your amazing mother, and who we'll have on to tell her story as well. But we like to take it back to the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about where your mom is from? And we kind of like to generally one of the ates ask this question because we like to play off of that stereotype that we as mixed kids, Filipino kids get, like, where are you from? But no, really, where like is your parents from? Something like that. So can you tell us a little bit about your mother, father? Because we like to give the flowers to those that came before. Because to me, we are now are the manifestations of our ancestors that worked hard and toiled, and I'm looking for like were any of them actors before, and I know that to be of your mama, so and singer. So like, what did you inherit from them? So can you tell us a little bit about your mom, dad, family? Just give some flowers to your ancestors right now.
For sure. So my mama, she grew up in the Philippines. She grew up in Manila. That is her home city. And she was a singer, and she is a singer. And back then she is the eldest sibling of a really big family. And she provided for them through singing throughout, like, she toured the world, and she was going to places like Japan, like all over Asia, like in the Middle East. Like, she was going everywhere to tour, and she would send money back home to her family, and that's how she provided everyone with it, which is like amazing for starters to be able to see that in the first place, because a lot of people, especially in North America, like, it's always like the thought of like, oh my God, I can't be a musician. Like, I can't provide for myself, like just even myself, like being a musician. But to see somebody like her be able to like provide for her whole entire family through what she loved doing and singing and touring the world is just like amazing. So that's like a bit about her when she was like growing up. And she finally came over to Canada, where she had met my dad, and my dad's Canadian. His hometown is Prince Rupert, so that he grew up over there in up north in BC. And they actually met in Masset, though. There's like this little island called Haida Gwaii, formerly Queen Charlotte Island, and it's like kind of nearing Alaska, not quite there yet, but off that same coast. And it's a really small island, and the town Masset is a very small town, and they were able to meet there because one of my dad's friends was telling him, hey, my dad was the owner of a bar and restaurant at the time, and he himself was a drummer, and he would play in a band like over there, and like he would hire many other bands too to perform at his place. So his friend was like, hey, you got to get this like amazing band. I hear that they're from the Philippines. They're like so good. Like you've never seen anything like them before. Like they are amazing. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I have to book this band. And then time goes by again and he still hasn't booked them. And the friend comes over. He's like, what are you doing? Like, you got to book this band. Like I told you. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. So he tried to book them, but it turns out that that very night that they had, the only night that he had open for them to perform at the bar, they already were booked that night at a different bar. So they're like, oh, okay, well, it's not going to work. They're going to leave. I guess it just didn't work out. And then all of a sudden that bar that they're supposed to perform at burnt down.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, hey, so we have that opening from that day that you actually wanted. The bar's no longer standing. So here we go. So that's how they actually met. Then he hired them and the rest is history.
Oh, I love this. That's a movie in itself, that love story there. Oh my gosh.
It literally is. It literally is. It kind of reminds me a bit of like the Selena kind of like, like the musicians in the same band, it's like, it's so sweet. And then he became her drummer in the band. And that's kind of what happened. And I popped out eventually. So
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Those are these little gems when we get doing these stories. So thank you. I love that. That's beautiful. All right. So you're in the picture. You're there. Is your sister older than you, or you're the
older? Yeah. I'm the baby of the family. I have 2 sisters, 1 brother, and they're all like in their 30s right now. And I myself, at this moment of you listening, anyone who's listening, I'm 22. So there's like a bit of an age gap, but I was definitely the baby one.
But so everybody takes care of you, I'm sure. Maybe to a fault. Like, leave me alone. Give me space.
It's definitely like when I see sibling relationships on screen or I get auditions for it, I'm always like laughing because it's so different from my relationship with my siblings, because I always felt like they were an extension of my parents growing up. Like they themselves were taking care of me, and they were very much like my own other alternative family and like parents basically. So it was never quite that 1 to 2, 3 year age gap where you're like fighting over the same clothes and you're like like I don't know, like all that like closer sibling kind of like feel. Like I was like kind of like the baby, so they really took care of me, and I owe a lot to them for that.
So then it took away like any animosity that happens when you're so close. Like you're collaborative now, you're working together because they understand. So that's sweet. Okay. I love that. All right. So what would your siblings and your parents tell me about a young Zenia growing up in Canada? Tell me that.
Oh no. I feel like, well, let's see. Oh my gosh. I need to send you like some of the pictures just to like embarrass myself. I have like little, like, I'm sure you've heard that like my mom is a Tina Turner tribute artist.
Yes.
So like they put the Tina Turner wig on me as a baby, and they like put me around like the Tina collection stuff that she had, and like so I have like pictures of that with like a fake microphone in my hand. So one can say that like when I was at that age, that was already kind of like performing was definitely the direction of what I wanted to do. When I grew up, I definitely watched my mom from the wing, like just perform like at her shows. I remember being really small. It's like my first memories of her. And I just like was really nourished by like the music in the household. And my sister's also a guitarist, and like, dad's a drummer, mom's a singer, so like everything, like it was just music everywhere. And music is definitely like my original like first passion growing up, especially because of them. And I actually went into dancing then, so there was a lot of dance stuff, a lot of ballet. Little Zenia did a lot of ballet.
Oh,
I
sweet.
think my sister would probably tell you that I had a lot of embarrassing. I was not very good in dance. Like I did a good like 13 years, I think, in ballet overall. But so I started when I was like 4, and it just wasn't like very like, I was always that kid that's always like scratching their legs and like watching the teacher and just kind of like smiling and like, but like not, it's like you can't really yell at them because like they're smiling and they're happy, but they're not doing it right. So you're just like, no, kind of thing. So she has like a video of me like really small, just like scratching my legs while everyone else is performing for like the little like teacher kind of day. And eventually I graduated out of dancing at a certain point. I didn't really feel like it was, as much as I love dance, I was like, I don't really think that this is quite my medium. So I let myself dive more into music, because that is really where I feel like a lot of my creativity stems from, especially as a songwriter. Like I love writing songs, and I always have. And I really feel like that is like essentially like my biggest happy place. But at the same time as delving into that, I also discovered acting for the first time. So I also got into that too. So like there's like a bit of like a of both worlds, and trying to navigate both throughout the teenage years. And yeah, like, I mean, if you were to ask them what they would say about me, like I cannot even tell you. Like I would be bracing myself for all the answers. I don't know.
I'm not ready. Awesome. Okay. I love it. My daughter started with ballet at 2. She's still in it. She's now with the Washington Ballet and ABT, American Ballet Theater. Ballet is her world. But I could see where because I saw other kids in her class, like you were saying, like, you know, kind of itching, just, you know, maybe that wasn't your style. So I'm curious if like maybe contemporary or modern, maybe another style might have been your fit, but then you discovered acting and music. So I'm curious, like, were you in school plays? Like, where would you say the first love of like, say, acting, and then obviously music was all around you, but when did you start like writing music? Well, like at what age, and when did you get into like, say, acting? Maybe we'll start off with that. Like, were you doing like school plays, church plays? How did that?
Oh yeah. With acting, actually, I really owe it all to dance, because it was only because of dance that I actually discovered acting. Nearing the last year or two of me dancing, my studio was asked for some dancers for this TV show called Some Assembly Required, and it was a YTV kids show, and we're like, oh, that's so much fun. So they just needed like a couple like background dancers just to dance this little Swan Lake. There's like the 4 little swans of all of them, like, you know, doing that little routine, like the infamous Swan Lake thing. And they needed us to do that. So I was part of that group, and we went in, and it was such a fun day. I remember like being so fascinated by the whole entire set there, just because it was like this toy store kind of feel. Like that was the set. It wasn't just like a regular house or classroom or anything or an office. It was like this whole entire like, whoa, like toy store kind of like feel. And I was like really young at the time. I was like in my preteen kind of area, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I want to do whatever will like let me be here in this environment, whatever that would be. And I thought about acting right away, and I'm like, okay, well, I dance and I like music. Maybe I should like try acting. Like, maybe, I don't know if I'm any good at it. Like, I guess we'll just like go to a class maybe. So I went to like a kids acting class when I was super young. And once I went there, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to do it. I want to do this. And then that's actually when I kind of like made the decision to stop dancing. And once I did that, I'm like, I need to stop, because I can't juggle all these things. I need to be able to focus on acting and music. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So giving voice to characters, were you, because you're such a young age, like, how was it like for you, or were you just always animated? Would your siblings say you were animated? You could easily go between happy and sad and memorizing lines.
Oh my gosh, there's multiple answers to this question. Like,
Okay.
I want to say that, like, when it comes to emotionality, like, I am a very emotional person. I'm very sensitive. Like you said earlier, that you're a huge empath, and I feel the same way as well. Like, I really feel for others, and I feel like a lot of sympathy. And I sometimes, when I see other people go through things and I'm trying to be there for them, I need to stop. Even at my age right now, I need to stop myself from like feeling too much with them, because otherwise now I'm going to be the one that's like no, this is about you. Like, I got to reel it in, because it's just so mushy and sensitive in here.
Yeah.
But so I definitely have a lot of that well to draw on. And I really love exploring, like, just like, especially as like a kid, when I was a teen, like just exploring the different types of person that I could be. Not that like I would end up being like, or wanting to be like the mean girl, or like the really like bad kid, or like whatever it was, but like I just like was so curious with other people's lives, and like what made them the way that they turned out to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is like really cool. And especially at that age, I feel like pretty much throughout life, I feel like everyone's curious to see like what like other sides there are in life, and that they might have as an individual. And as a teenager, you're still discovering yourself, and it just sometimes you get in, you just like have, for like your first time in like your preteen years, discover that a newfound like self-hatred sometimes, that you're just like, I don't want to be me, like I'm not cool, like, you know, kind of thing. So like going to acting definitely as like in those teenage years was very much of like a kind of like a transformation. Like you get to like be something else, because you're very unsure of yourself during those years. Exactly. And I think that was like a lot of the draw, especially at that age. So yeah, that was that. But with emotionality and all the inspiration and things, but when it comes to memorizing lines, oh my gosh, like I definitely like have to actively work for it, because I feel like a Dory sometimes. Like I just don't like retain things. Like I'm just like, people have to remind me. People have to remind me of things. They're like, Zenia, remember when we did this? This was like so much fun. I'm like, when was this? And they're like 2-3 years ago. I'm like, does this ever happen? Like I'm trying to like recall things. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that's like a bit of like the give and take. Some actors can just like read it once and they like know like a whole page. And I'm just like, I'm like, damn, like, I don't know how you do that. I gotta work for that. But when it comes to emotions, like it's all already there. Like anymore, I'm gonna be like, like you don't want more than that. Like we're good in that department, but memorizing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. My brain needs food. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I can definitely pull from life experience, especially now the older that I am. But yeah, I will read and read and read, because I don't know. I hate to be like, I hate to say line, you know, I hate to, you know, go back to that, because I feel unprepared, and I don't want to be that guy, you know, or that person.
Exactly. And some people like can wing it all that they want and this and that. And some people find freedom in that, but I find freedom in complete like preparation for it, and you're fully prepared, and it's to the point where you've memorized it without inflections or anything else, that any pauses, like anything that's tying you to a certain like pattern or rhythm that will be damaging if the director gives you a different direction. So I'm just like, like the more that I just know it as like a robot that's like reading like I don't know, a TikTok sound, you know, those TikTok robot sounds like they always do. If I can like do that, and like I know everything, that I feel like freedom coming to set and being able to offer that for sure. I know what you mean.
I feel you. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So I want to get to the music part of things now in a second, but before I get there, I'm trying to remember my pattern, because I've kind of like, you know, I have a pattern to these ShoPowSho interviews. Culture. Let's go back to our Philippine Xness. So, you know, born to a mixed family, living in Canada. When did you find out you were like Filipino and a mixed kid? How was that growing up? Like, one of the things like doing these ShoPowShos that we've discovered, you know, as mixed kids in certain respects, we felt like, you know, some people, myself included here and there, like didn't feel Filipino enough because we didn't learn the language. We didn't know the dialects. And, sometimes like one of my classic Philam films is The Debut with my brother Dante Bosco, who we've had on. His character in The Debut was afraid to bring friends over because the smell of patisse and the spoon and the fork on the wall, the wooden spoon and fork, all of these crazy, embarrassing things that we think is crazy embarrassing because it's our culture. And then we bring in another culture in there and we have to explain that.
Yeah. Very
you have similar experiences for yourself.
For sure. There's definitely different levels to this for sure, because I think that growing up, I always knew, like, from what my parents told me, I'm like, okay, I'm like half white and then half Filipino, like, and I apparently have a lot of other stuff around, like, sprinkled in, like, and I'm just like thinking, I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. And I just kind of lived life kind of through that way. And I think because my dad doesn't speak, he's Canadian, he doesn't know how to speak Tagalog, and I didn't get to grow up with the language in my household, which is something, like, being older and looking back on, I feel like really sad about, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I just wish that I was spoken to more in that, and that we were able to have that dynamic in the house where we were able to speak Tagalog. But I can see my other cousins who are full Filipino and both of their parents are Filipino, that they completely know the language and they know everything. And I'm just like, I definitely feel that just from a language perspective, that already made me feel like not Filipino enough. But also to an extent, like, when you see a lot of, like, mixed babies, like, we're always ending up on the different places on the spectrum of where we could be, where our genetics brings us. And for me, when I guess, like, looking at myself, I'm just kind of like, oh, I guess, like, it was kind of hard for me to identify visually with where I was, because to a lot of people, they would never be able to guess what I was. They always thought I was Spanish. They always thought that I was Latina. They always thought that I do have Spanish blood on my mom's side, but, like, it's definitely not a definable kind of amount. So I'm just kind of like, well, I don't really know if I can identify as that. So I'm Filipino though, but no one ever really saw me as that. I found it really interesting that to other kids who were more like on the BIPOC spectrum, like, they really thought that I was very white, but to white kids, I was very, like, ethnic. So, like, it was just like, depending on who you ask, it's completely like other people will think that I'm, like, Persian, or, like, they think that I'm, like, half Indian, and, like, it just, like, it starts, like, going this, like, really, like, wide range of things. And I even in New Zealand at this age, just a couple months ago, I went into a gym, and the guy at the smoothie bar, he's like, let me guess. Wait, I need to guess. I need to guess what you are. And I'm like, oh man, you're just like this game again, Yeah. So that already was, like, a bit hard growing up, but I always grew up with such, like, a loving Filipino family. Like, my Filipino side is over here in Vancouver. My dad's side is up north in BC, so we only get to see them once in a while. But growing up, like, I was really surrounded with my Filipino family and roots over here in Vancouver. So, like, every, like, Christmas, every Thanksgiving, there's, like, this huge, like, oh, there's going to be a huge feast going on. There's going to be so much. We have, like, so many family traditions. Like, we're always, like, make a joke about, like, anyone bringing their new significant others to the gathering. Cause, like, we're just like, oh, you're in for a treat. You're not going to be hungry. You're going to be, like, 3 sizes bigger. Like, you're gonna leave this place, like, feeling so full. And also, there's gonna be karaoke. There's gonna be like so much stuff. Just, like, brace yourselves. Like, everyone's, like, very lively. It's such a colorful, like, household with everything. And I definitely got to grow up with that, which I'm really, really, really grateful for. I think that it wasn't, though, like, really, I don't know, like, apparent for me until, like, a couple years ago. I think especially within the new age of Black Lives Matter, there was a new emphasis on race and your background and your connections and your roots that kind of rose up in prominence in conversations a lot. And in that, like throughout those times, like I've just felt like even stronger connection to my Filipino roots, because I'm just kind of like, wow, like it just like it felt like something that was just kind of there before, like whenever anyone would ever ask you. But then because you're in Canada, like no, like not a lot of people like to dwell on it. So it's just kind of like, oh, we're all in one big like melting pot all together. But something about like the movement, and also like the start of like Asian hate, like when that was starting to break out, like there's something about those two movements that had happened that I was just like, I don't know, it just like somehow strengthened even more with my bond and identity on my Asian side. And I'm just kind of like, this is huge. And like, it just, I don't know, something about it just kind of like clicked in all the more together. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it got to a point, and I was like, I told my mom this while I was in New Zealand, and we were both laughing about it for so long, but I was in New Zealand, and like there's like a lot of Kiwi culture. And when I was there, like there was definitely not as many people that looked like me over there. Most people were a bit, on the whiter side. They're blonde, like they have like, different features. And over there, I was just like craving like anything Asian around me. Like I just like, it was such a funny epiphany for me, like being there, like being away from Vancouver, where we're so multicultural, we have so much diversity, being plopped over into like New Zealand, where there still is some diversity, but it's just nowhere near the amount that we have here in Vancouver. I was just like kind of like stunned by kind of what was like how that kind of felt being there, and kind of being more isolated feeling in that sense. But I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I remember seeing like a bubble tea shop for the first time there, and I'm like, oh my god, like I haven't had bubble tea for months, please. And then I saw like a ramen shop. I'm like, this is not even my country, but I still appreciate seeing this over in this like on this other place, because there's so much like amazing culture over in New Zealand. But then like there's certain times when you miss home, and I'm just like literally like I went over to like they had like, they don't call it Chinatown over there, but they had like a bit of an area that definitely had more foods over there. And I saw like a Filipino restaurant. Like I just lost it. I'm just like like all those things, like I don't know like why, but that just like really made me feel at home even when I was there. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like it's just like this like odd like journey, like as like a mixed kid, like feeling like kind of more disconnected, then more connected, then more disconnected, because you're not really sure where you lie on the spectrum. You don't know how much sometimes you can like claim as your own, because like, of course, there's some people who are like, oh, well, you're not this enough and you're not that enough because you're in the middle. But yeah, that was just kind of like an interesting journey for that. And yeah, I'm really grateful to have been able to grow up with as much as I did, and to be at this place right now. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's a complicated journey in a lot of respects, and for others that may not have it wholly one way or the other, and you just kind of feel out of place, and so that's why we talk on this, and is to help people find their kababayan, their people, and see that we're not a monolith, not everything is, one way or that way. It's not perfect. And so people can relate and see that it's here, but there's also people that are going through it as well. And for everybody that's watching this and seeing this, I hope you're loved. I love you. Again, I'm the crazy empath guy, but that's why we do this. And just, it's a wild journey, but there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and you're not alone. I guess is the biggest thing why we talk about this. Just, I see you. So thank you, Zenia, and sharing, and just, I'm happy in certain respects that people, through the ugly circumstances that occurred to get to this point. But I think there's kind of like a revolution happening, and a renaissance, if you will, especially having now this ShoPowSho that I do. There's a lot of us that are now because of everything that's because of everything that has happened, we're now working harder to get that representation out there.
Yes.
And I know of so many roles that are in the works, stuff that is actually in post-production right now, which is beautiful. And just we're building as a community. And so I'm excited for our future. I look forward to hopefully working with you on a set too, Zenia.
I know, that'd be so much fun. It's so much fun. Oh my gosh. I need to like keep up with everything that you're also like posting with that, like all these projects that you're mentioning. Like I need to see it. Like I'm it's just like a new, like, oh my gosh, like just to see that and other people do that as well, like bringing more and more representation to the screen and like actually representing like a wider like I don't know, like image of like how the community is, like how like our families are and like everything like that wasn't quite, we didn't really get to see that much of growing up on the screen. So I'm really excited. You gotta let me know what those are. I want to see it. I want to see it. Yo.
Hell yeah. I got recommendations for days. There's so many things in the works too. And I love it. And you're a part of that, homie. And you know, do you feel actually with that, you know what, let's talk about this. Cause I feel, you know, with everything that I'm doing and just having been in the industry for so long, like, do you sometimes feel weighed down by kind of the weight of us that we've been fortunate enough to break into, you know, this industry in a way? Do you feel that at all? And, or actually, you know what, actually, I'm gonna get a little bit deeper with you. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of your amazing mother, and just the family, the arts. Now you're young, you fall in love with the arts for yourself. I hope it wasn't like pushed onto you, you know, because it was, you know what I'm saying? Because that could be, I've seen that happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
How was that for you? Did you feel pushed into it? And, or did you, or if you weren't, like when you finally got into it, did you feel kind of like that presence because of the amazing family that you have, that was around you?
For sure. I think that in a lot of ways, my parents are very definable stage parents. Like, I think that we could all say that. We can all say that. I just like my mom, like, okay, I'm going to be honest with you right now. She just walked into the room right now. She's standing right there and she has a camera and she's
sorry, Layla, I'm sorry. I love you. Makita.
I as we're talking about this, I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to embarrass her right now. This is the perfect opportunity. She's like right there. She's like, snap. She just got here. She just got here when you asked that question. I'm like, oh my gosh. Total stage parents. Total. But yeah, they're so supportive. And what I really find about my family that I'm really grateful for is that they, even though they take so much pride in the fact that I'm also in the entertainment business, with them, kind of like one of the main things that they go by, what I've realized is that they really have expressed that no matter what I decide to do, that they're going to support me no matter what. And even if it's in the industry, if it's in music, if it's in acting, if it's before when I was younger, if it was in dance, or if it was in something completely different, like completely out of the arts realm. And that's what I wanted to do. Like my dad's always like, yeah, like you can do anything you want, but whatever you do, just make sure you're good at it. Like, you know, that kind of thing. Like it's never been like a feeling of being trapped in that and confined into that mold. And I think that if it was, like, I probably wouldn't be doing it. Like, I feel like a lot of kids who are forced to do it actually like start to get like a bit like farther and farther away from what these crazy stage parents want for their kid. So I really feel like with their support and everything, it's the only reason why I've been able to get where I am today. And like, honestly, like I couldn't be more grateful.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I started feeling as I was asking that question, it might be a little difficult, but I'm happy to hear there's a good story at the end of that. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And love you, Miss Louisa. But yeah, we wouldn't.
You know, she's not here anymore, but she was just here. I tell you, she was just here. She ran away when I embarrassed her. That's what happened.
Yeah, that we try to ask the hard hitting questions because we want to get the real you, and because it's those life experiences that I think is what makes this show beautiful and what makes your story beautiful and how you became who you are. And again, you're still building you're still writing your story, and I love it. And I can't thank you again for sharing this snapshot of where you're at in your career right now.
Of course.
I hope we still have a little bit more time because I almost forgot. I went into the acting a little bit, and because I can talk, homie, and I love talking with amazing people like yourself.
It's all good. I can talk too. I can talk for days.
I wanted to just get back into the musical journey before we leave out with everything. Is we talked about how you got into acting and all of that, but writing music, obviously music all around you. Do you recall like your first song writing in like school, and what was it about? Was it about your My Little Pony? I don't know. What was it? What were you writing about?
For sure. I started writing when I was super young. Like I want to say that like I was in grade like 1 or 2 when I really was like starting, but like, oh yeah, no, those songs were no good. But I definitely picked up the pen and was starting to attempt to try to write things. And I think that a lot of like the influence of growing up, especially as a kid, you're just kind of like, you hear a lot of love songs. So I think that all of my song inspiration was all from love. And I think that like all like the relationships along the way, all the little crushes when you're so young, you're so small and you're experiencing like just like what it is to have a crush for the first time, all those little things. And that started forming into like bad songs, and then a bit less of a bad song, and then like it started like pouring out more and more. And once I got into high school, I started like fooling around on Logic Pro, and I'm just like trying to find my way. And I started like pulling together certain samples, and I got like really enthralled by the whole entire program. Like still to this day, don't get me wrong, like I am like in no means like a great producer or like a very like knowledgeable music producer, but I love the program. I love like it's just like an absolute like toy. Like it's just like so much fun to go in and to just like make something from scratch, and not just be able to write a story that you feel passionate about, but like be able to give it a soundtrack, be able to give it its own world that it lives in. And so throughout high school, I was in that, and I was in a choir and band and all that dorky music stuff that
I was in choir. Like, I was in quartets. I did all of that, yo. I had my little boys quartet, and dating myself, old school R&B, 90s R&B. I would sing Boyz II Men, Shy Silk, Jodeci, all of that. That's what I was all about.
Yes, we love it. Oh my gosh, so good. So good.
What were some of your influences like for your songwriting and your sound?
When I was very young, and up to this day, but the timeless inspirations definitely were Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, all the queens. Man, like I think like throughout, like those were my 2 original inspirations. Leona Lewis, like the list goes on for like what like era that kind of was in my life. And I think throughout high school, I started getting into watching Buffy for the first time, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and like hearing the soundtrack with that, and the 90s alternative rock got me more into that. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And I started like listening to more of that. So then like now we have more of that R&B pop kind of like alternative rock feel. And then like along the way, more and more inspirations came about, even like up to this day, like someone like Ariana Grande, especially in her Dangerous Woman album. Like there's like so many people. Metric, the band Metric, like I love them. I'm starting to discover really amazing, really unique artists like Kyla LaGrange, Aurora. Like they have this really ethereal, amazing feel to them. So, and just throughout my lifetime, because my mom is a Tina Turner tribute artist, and also she has her own cover band, and we all perform in that cover band. Like I've been hearing so many top 40 songs from like the 50s all the way till now, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like everything. So like it's just a big melting pot here in this little knocker right over here. And yeah, like it's just a lot of inspiration from all of that. And I think that that's almost my fault as a musician, is that I love music so much and I love all kinds of music that I will write things that are completely different from the next thing that I write. And it's like almost feels like there's nothing that's like bridging like the genres together or like what's going on together, because at least for me, like maybe when other people listen to it, they're like, oh yeah, well that's still you. But for me, when I listen to it and I make things, like it's always like a different kind of feel and realm, and it's just such a big variety of things. And especially as an actor, when it comes to story writing, I tend to put every single story on its own legs, and it's like, this is this character living in this world in this song, and then I move on to the next one, and this is my next character in this song, and this is her story and what she's going through. And
separate from it a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of like its own project and feel. Like every single song almost takes on its own character and backstory, if that makes sense. So
no, I feel that. I'm with you on that. Like it's kind of like, it's like to the project, but maybe I don't know, like finding like your own unique sound. Like you feel like you're doing it genre based for that specific audience. So like, oh, you want a horror? Okay, I can write to that effect. I can do comedy or, you know, this piece. But then when somebody asks you for something from you, and you just because we're a society that kind of labels everything and puts things in certain boxes, and so when it's kind of scary to come up with a voice that is your inner voice. So and like now I feel, because ShoPow, which is strange, but then at the same time I don't mind it, is like, okay, Patrick, they hit me up for a project, and it's kind of like, oh, because the ShoPowSho, and they want something Filipino, which I don't mind doing because I'm trying to get that representation out there. But I don't want to be beholden. Like, do I have to include Tagalog in there? Like, then it's making it like a stereotype. Like, exactly. We're more than that. We're not a monolith, you know. So it's finding your own unique voice and just letting it be and exist, and not to be beholden to anything in a way. For sure. Maybe that way with the music.
It's so much more freeing that way, for sure. I always hate hearing like artists that feel like they need to be pigeonholed into something, like whether or not you're an actor or you're a musician or whatever your art is. Like it's just it sucks, or just as a person in general, like just to be like generalized and put into like a really specific kind of like label, and like that's all you can be, and that's all that you should like achieve in your lifetime. Like it's just kind of like, it's such like a weird standpoint, and I think that it's really freeing for artists to be able to explore that. And I'm definitely at a stage in my career right now where I'm still exploring that for myself. I'm still trying to figure out what's what, and I honestly feel like it's gonna get boring if I like conclude on one thing. This is me, and this is only me, and this is all I will ever be, and this is it, you know? So it's just the freedom of like art. I don't think that it was ever meant to be confined. So
there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah. I love it. Man, I could talk. There's so many other questions I got, but I don't want to keep you too long, because again, you have other stuff to do, and I've got a ton of stuff to do as well. I could talk with you forever. We gotta, Zenia, I have to have you back. And especially after I get done with the entire season of One of Us is Lying, that's out on Peacock. Watch it. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. You're starting this journey, you know, hopefully this is the start of more and even bigger roles. And I can't wait to hear more of your music. You are just an amazing soul, a great spirit. I'm gonna give you one last question, which is our round out question, because I started to forget that aspect, because I don't have my amazing Ates, and I need you to meet my amazing Ates, my co-host.
I need to meet them. Please more amazing Ates in my life. Please.
Yes. So the last question, because my show is part of the Nerds of Color, which is an amazing group of fellow nerds that are of color, because we wanted to showcase our representation, you know. So because we are nerds of color, we have a nerd question for our last question.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We're to give a TED Talk a TED Talk style talk on anything, on any particular subject, what would it be? Like, what are you nerdy about that the world doesn't know? And you can't use acting, obviously, or music. So it could be within there, you know, like I'm super nerdy about Bing Crosby. I love big band stuff, or I don't know. But what are you just nerdy about that you could give a TED talk on? That if somebody was to test your gangsta, like, nah, I know more about that than you, homie. I got this. Like,
Oh my God. I don't think I would ever feel that way about anything, honestly, at any point in my life. Like, I can put years into it and I'll just be like, I still know nothing. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just like a little like stick man on this earth. I have no idea.
What are you super fan of? Super fan of? Like,
I'm a huge, well, man, this is a tough one. Like with music, like I absolutely like adore and I feel like I am definitely a nerd. Like I think that was an identity that definitely found me in high school, being part of like chamber choir, vocal jazz. There's a third choir that I was a part of, and then band. I played alto saxophone. Like I actually really love like band music and like really eerie like chamber choir pieces, like you know, like with like there's like it's just so I don't know, like all like you know, the nerdy like the band stuff, like it brings me back, and like I just love hearing. Pardon?
My wife was in band, so we talk about, and I was in choir. I was in choir, church choir, quartets. She was, I think she played saxophone, actually.
No way, Saxy friends, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, no, like I just think like looking back on those days, like I think that was the beginning that we were first listening to as a choir, a group called Rajatan, and then there was another group that was Pentatonics, which is more modern and more like mainstream, like today on, especially in like the YouTube music kind of like community. They're huge, and I think that we were just complete like geeking out on all of this. Like it's so amazing to hear, and I think that even to this day when I'm writing my music, I'm just kind of like once in a while listen back and I'll be like, hey, like I think that a bit of this might have came from that one like song that we did as an inspiration, like in grade 8, you know what I mean? Like it's just like something about this that like you can just kind of see how those influences in your life, like no matter how like I don't know, like unconscious you are of that, just kind of seeps its way through like your experiences, what you write about and how it sounds, and like what creates you as an artist at the end. So yeah, I think I'm guilty about being a nerd in that one.
No, I love it. That's beautiful. I love that. So a lot of that learning from school carried on with you, and like you can take a sheet of music and just rock it and all that.
I mean, my saxophone's really dusty right now, so I kind of like stopped after high school. I mean, I named her Lisa, so after like Lisa Simpson.
I love it.
So
sweet.
I haven't seen Lisa in a little bit. So if I was ever to pick her up again, I'd have to like really like, you'd have to give me a little while to like get back on the horse a bit. But yeah, it'd be so much fun. I just like, I love hearing it. And even just like hearing like little things like Pomp and Circumstance and like things like that. We had to play that for our grads growing up, like every single year. Like we'd be like sitting there throughout a whole entire like 4-hour grad ceremony, like playing the song over and over again. Like, oh my gosh, but it's so much fun. And I think so much of that just is all what made, I don't know, just led to today. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's super cool. Zenia, again, this was so amazing. The very final thing now is hopefully now all my fans are your fans. I know they're going to be your fans because you're super sweet. You have such an amazing spirit, and so excited for you and your bright future ahead of you. How can they reach out to you? I'll have the information in the description below. But for those that are the audio listeners, how can they check you out online? Do you have any socials or websites you want to throw at them?
For sure, for sure. My main website is zeniamarshall.com, Zenia, Marshall with a double L.com. And for all of my handles, basically across social media from Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, I'm under my full name, Zenia Marshall. And on Twitter, that's a bit of a tricky one. On Twitter, it was so funny because like I don't know, when I first made it, it was just like, Zenia Marshall's taken. I'm like, oh no. And I was just like so sad. I'm like, man, this sucks. So I just ended up doing like a rookie thing, and I was so young, and I just added another A. So like now I'm like Zenia Marshall, like on that handle. So it's Zenia with a double A for no reason. It's not even my middle name. My middle name is Maria Mendez. Like it's not even like the A doesn't make any sense. Zenia Marshall. And on TikTok, just Zenia Marshall again. So that's me all the way across, all the way around. That's where you can find me. And on Spotify as well, I have 2 singles out right now. One called Heaven and Hell. That's my most recent one. And my first one called Ain't Like You. So yeah, that's all of my shindigs. That's where I'm at. Everywhere.
There you go, y'all. I love it. I love it. Make sure you do all the follows, the subscribes, all of that. I'm going to be doing that. So join me in following the amazing Zenia Marshall. And since the Ates aren't here to sign off with me, I'm going to sign off now as well. For your boy, Kuya P. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at the legend Kuya P. Yeah, it's kind of a wild one, but yeah, everybody's like, yeah, Patrick, you're kind of a legend. You've been doing it for a while. Okay, I'm the legend Kuya P.
I love it. I love it.
There you go. Of course, at the Nerds of Color and at the Nerds of Color on everything, ShoPowSho, and at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Zenia Marshall, y'all. So amazing. I hope to have her back. I hope she'll join back with your boy.
Absolutely.
Do this again.
This is so much fun. Thank you so much, Kuya P, for having me on the show. This is so much fun.
Yes, yes. God. I love it. Mahakita, y'all. We love you. Until next time, salamat. We're out of here. Boom, boom. Bye. My name is Zenia Marshall. I'm on here on ShoPowSho with Kuya P, and we are going to be talking about One of Us is Lying, the new Peacock TV series, and we're going to be talking about music, acting, and much, much more, and most especially our Pinoy pride. Hi there, my name is Zenia Marshall, and what does my Filipino heritage mean to me? It means family, it means community, it means support, it means music, it means dancing, it means amazing, yummy food. It means, I feel like it means so much to do with like the support of the community and what we how we're there for each other. Like growing up in my family, like we have the most supportive, kind family. Everyone just like, no matter like how much time has passed, like everyone is always there for each other. Like no matter who walks into the household that is a complete stranger, nobody knows them, has ever seen them in their life before, and the family completely treats them as if they've always been there and that they are our family. So that is really one of the most important things to me in my Filipino heritage is family.